Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Doug, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. We've got Chris Pronger coming up here in a moment. Little arbitration later in the hour. Tracking the Jays as well. Easton Lucas out there pitching a gem. They might sweep the Nationals here. Everything's moving and shaking in the right direction.
Your boy Vladdy is not exactly ripping the cover off the ball.
Still has not hit a home run. His numbers are not great. They're okay, but not great. It is a question, man. Like, it's early. It's so early.
Dude, I don't care. I change my number if I'm Ross or Mark. Just change the cell.
You're telling me if he sends Mark Shapiro a text saying, let's lock it in, $500 million right now.
Absolutely not, man. Absolutely
That's
not.
crazy.
You would say
dude.
Absolutely not to Vladdy, or vice versa. Vladdy wouldn't change his number. I'm not.
What if the guy hits
this.
20 dingers? Like, what are we talking about here? A 20 home run, and you're going to hand him a check for $500 million?
It's Game 7 of the season.
I know pro sports.
155 games left.
There's a lot of games left. A week ago, you were going to hand this guy $450 million or whatever it was.
What are you talking about? I was never handing.
I'm not talking. You're playing the
anyone.
role of Mark Shapiro. I'm not talking about you. I understand you have no power.
I just told
in
you what I'm going to do. Today I tied my shoes the way I want to tie them.
That was ridiculous.
And both of them, by the way, Noodles.
That's sickening behavior, dude.
I was like
10 years, no parole.
Yeah,
that's the
jail
behavior
time.
you
It is
showed
jail
it.
time.
I had
It
to
should be.
untie my shoes to scratch my feet. My feet were itchy. I put them up on a urinal, and I tied both of them. I washed my hands, and I walked
Wait a
out.
minute. No, slow down. You went for an itch on a foot in a bathroom? You took your shoes off in there and started scratching your
so
grubby
gross.
feet?
Like, it just.
Do you
Like,
know
I
what?
guarantee you he took his sock off, too,
Oh,
probably
for sure.
to scratch his foot. Like,
This guy's, you're going to lose a foot.
yeah, he's going to have the gout or whatever it's called.
Gangrene. This guy is.
You think I would
Yeah,
take?
Shrek's
I
foot.
have a massive problem. People are taking their shoes off all over the place, and it's disgusting. At the gym,
Wow.
you don't need to do squats in your grubby socks. Stop doing
That
it.
I
Stop
agree
taking videos. Enough of that. I just unlaced my shoes and I scratched the base of my ankles.
Okay.
And then
that's
on my
fair.
way out, I used the bathroom and I had to tie my shoes back up and I needed a little half step. So up it went. I tied them both. I washed my hands and I went about and running errands.
It's just nasty. It's so.
I just don't think we need this in society. I don't think it should be
No.
perpetuated. And it needs to be tracked, right? It's like this measles insanity that's happening now.
Anyway, back to important things. That
No,
we
this
deal
is
with.
important.
Yeah,
Stop
very.
promoting people using the urinal to tie their shoes.
That's going to be an epidemic.
Stop
There's
it.
going to be a
we
problem.
can't continue this in society. Go ahead. Now continue with whatever you want to continue with.
I'm changing my phone number, man.
If you're Shapiro?
Oh yeah, it's like we because this guy's gonna come crying back, begging, looking for money.
I don't think so.
Well-
I think he's going to.
Okay, I'll talk to you guys in a month. I'll keep talking to you about it every month.
So
Say,
what
"Hey,
if through 7 games this guy had 10 home runs with a torpedo bat and was had a 1,300 OPS? Does he call and say, now I want the Soto deal, and you give it to him? I mean, you got to be reasonable here. It's 7 games into the season. He's not off to a good start. I do concern myself with the fact that he's had a yo-yo career. Like, that's kind of been what he's – great year, okay year, great year,
Dude,
okay year.
With
That's
this kind
kinda
of
how he's been.
negotiation, there's all kinds of pressure points. If this guy has a subpar season, you don't start looking around at people saying, give me $500 and $600 million. Sorry, it's just not the way it works. And I don't think anybody will give it to him. And I definitely wouldn't give it to him if I was the team that watched him do it all year.
That I understand. I do think he is kidding himself if he thinks that money is guaranteed regardless of how he plays.
Yeah, if he hits 25 homers and he starts asking people for $500 and $600 million, it just doesn't work
That's
that way.
not going to happen. There's no way he's getting that.
I guess my question is, there's always somebody out there, like he's going to get paid what somebody's willing to pay him. If the Blue Jays are like, this is what we've hit our ceiling, he's going to free agency, and you know that somebody's going to go, he's 26 years old, I can see him hitting 35 for my organization, not that one. And that's where somebody's going to write him a check.
And when
that's
Mark
what he's banking
Shapiro
on.
came out with those comments and he said, I know we're going to get this guy signed because I believe that we're aligned. What I think he meant from that is, I think Vladdy's production and the way he plays this year is going to show this organization that the amount that we offered him is the proper amount. That's what he meant.
I think you're probably right. I think that was his assessment. The way Shapiro generally operates is he's all-knowing. No one can outsmart him. No one's got a better read on baseball than Mark, and he's been in baseball for a long time. He's got a PhD in being a sports executive. I mean,
Sound familiar, those traits?
Are you suggesting they're your traits?
No, yours. No one can outsmart you.
Oh,
no one
you.
knows more. According
I'm the Mark
to you.
Shapiro of this show?
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah,
if
you
I'm
are.
Mark Shapiro, who are you?
Me?
Yeah, who are you if I'm Mark Shapiro?
I'm Aaron Judge.
Oh, you're Aaron Judge.
You're Aaron Judge.
And you're Shapiro.
I thought you were going
I'm
to say you're
Shapiro.
Ohtani.
Yeah.
Just the jack of
No,
all
I guess
trades.
you're Ohtani. You're Ohtani, he's Judge, and I'm Mark.
Tani.
Okay.
You're Shapiro.
All right, fine. I was thinking within the organization. Okay.
Am I
I'll come up with a
Alejandro
comparison.
Kirk?
I was
You
going to
were-
say Alejandro. Although he's off to a good start.
I
Al
know.
Kirk is playing pretty well, man. He looks good out there.
Fair enough.
All right, arbitration later in the hour. Leafs Panthers tonight. Here's our good friend joining us on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Longtime NHLer, Hall of Famer. There he is, Chris Pronger. What's happening, Prongs?
Not much, just in the midst of a tornado warnings, big storm, but I understand you guys are getting pelted with some
Frozen
not
rain.
too fun
Yeah,
weather.
it's
Frozen
got
rain.
a Dryden, Ontario vibe outside right now. That's what it feels like.
Do you ever go back there, Prongs? Like, do you go back in the summer or anything, or no?
I've been back a couple times over the last 3 or 4 years, but a lot of my friends moved away. They either live in Winnipeg or they live down in Toronto, or another one lives in Kenora. This kind of moved all over the place.
Well, we
It's
got a
hard to
big
get
one
everybody
tonight.
together, as you know.
I hear you. We hear you. That's life as you get older. Unfortunately, it's the truth. But it does feel like hockey weather's still here, and we got a big one, with the Panthers in town tonight. And players on both sides paying lip service to it, that it'll have a playoff feel to it, et cetera, et cetera. Is that how close can it actually get? It's not going to have a playoff atmosphere. It can't. The physicality, the pace. But you've been in scenarios like this, less than 10 games to go, fighting for a position, could play each other in the first round. How crazy, energy-wise, physicality-wise, kind of hatred on the ice-wise, could we be expecting tonight?
I would ask you, why can't it?
I'd
If
like to
I'm
see it.
either
I'd like
team,
to see
if
it.
I'm either team, I'm setting the tone. If they do have a good chance of meeting each other, then this is the chance to set the record straight and explain to one side or the other exactly what this matchup's going to look like and how this series may play out.
What would that be for Toronto, Prongs? Like, for a team that doesn't run you over, they don't really fight, and they've not been known as a physical team throughout their history of this group. What would they want to show Florida, that they can outpace them, that they can outskill them and make them pay in the power play? What kind of message would you like to see from the Leafs, or could you see?
I would just like to see just maniacal compete, in the sense that board battles, not the physicality or the physical nature of the game, but more in just the will to win the puck battles and just want to control the puck, want to control the play, play more on offense, which I believe they would want to, less in their own end, and just get on the attack more and not be so reactionary, whether it be to the physicality of Florida or the punches in the face washes, all that type of stuff, and just start now with the edict. We're just going to turn the cheek. We're going to play between the whistles, and we're not going to get involved in the shenanigans that we've seen Florida do from time to time.
So Prongs, you've been in these battles. You also were a master of getting in the head of an opponent. So if you wanted to send a message, whether you're playing either for Toronto or you're playing for Florida, do you go after the big boys? Do you go after, and it's, hey, I'll take a 2-minute penalty for a slash, letting the guy know, hey, this is what you're going to be in for, either not only in this game, but down the stretch and into the playoffs if we see it? Do you try and send that message physically? You were a guy that wasn't shy to take a penalty and send a message.
Yeah, I think the loss of Matthew Tkachuk here really hurts Florida, and he seems to set the tone for that team from that aspect. You can have Bennett play a physical brand. Now with Marchand there, he can be doing a lot of that in the absence of Matthew Tkachuk. But I think if you're Florida, you're sending a tone. Okay, we're the Stanley Cup champions. We're going to get our swagger back. They were on a nice little run, and they've kind of been a little, almost lackadaisical, for lack of a better term, over the last 10 or 15 games since the Four Nations. They've had some good games, and they've had some lackluster games. And I think if you're them, you're kind of really sitting there thinking, okay, we got to really turn the tide here. No Ekblad, no Tkachuk. You've got Seth Jones in the mix and trying to get him acclimated and really solidify his role within the team. So they've got some question marks that they really need answered.
Prongs, back in the day when you were sending messages, hurting people's arms and things, did Billy McCreary or anyone ever come up to you and say, maybe watch your stick tonight? You've been seeing some stuff that's been going on back there that's a little bitty green. Like, did any of those guys ever say anything, or was that just standard business protocol back then?
Yeah. I think it was so egregious that it was more just it got to a level where they would just be like, okay, that's enough. And I'm like, okay. And if I felt like it was the time and place to maybe go cross that line now and not listen to the official and maybe take that penalty or really send that message, then I might really say, all right, the referee understands the line I'm on right now, so I'm just going to cross it and make this guy that maybe wants to stand a little too close to the crease or may want to try to park himself in an area where I don't really want him to be. I'll take a two.
But as a forward, I have to tell you, I would go up to the ref and show them my throbbing wrist and fingers and say, that's what maybe lay off that stuff means. Like, my hand's broken and you're telling the guy to maybe lay off a little bit. I'm like, how about a 5-minute major or a 2-minute minor?
I remember a time in Philadelphia right before the playoffs, my first year, somebody came to the front of the net. So I'm like, all right. I started cross-checking them in the low back, and then my stick slowly started creeping up. And right about the time I got about to the shoulder blades, the referee's like, that's too high.
Yeah, you're 8 cross-checks deep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember being in the net one time because it would be Pronger, and then it would come out, it's McInnes. And Al was sneaky dirty, too. And
he was no angel either, that guy. He came across as Mr. Slapshot guy. That guy was dirty.
He was fish hooking a guy in the corner. He had his finger in his mouth and was fish hooking him, screaming at Richard Trottier that the guy had slashed him. And meanwhile, he had his finger, basically twisting his head off and yelling for the guy to get a penalty. You see that every shift in St. Louis between these two guys. It was a penalty every shift. That's really what it was.
Well,
they can't call it every shift, so
exactly. You got to put the whistles away at some point, and I'm sure you ran into other teams that were willing to play that game too. And I'm curious how you would feel about that, Prongs. I'm sure you'd love to send a message, and the guy gets it. He's like, "All right, I'm not coming by the crease anymore. I'm not going to battle for you in front of in the corner or wherever it is." But when you face your steepest competition back in the day, and you knew they were coming back for you. I mean, what was that like to maybe be on the other side of it, where it's like you'd be hacking a guy, and that guy was like, all right, I'm getting you this time. Like, did you feel like you knew it was coming?
It's a process. It's a process. And ultimately, the top guys, the power forwards of that era, they're going to push back. They're not just going to stand there and take it. There's going to be moments they're going to try to get you in the corner in front of the net, turn the tables, as you suggested. But it is a war of attrition. And ultimately, over a long 7-game series, my goal was to try to wear on you, grind on you, and slowly see you move from the top of the blue paint to the hash marks, to the top of the hash marks, to then the top of the circles. And then by that point, I've done my job, and you can go stand out there.
With Chris Pronger. In terms of that, war of attrition and how much energy is necessary to get up for the playoffs every single year, where do you stand on Florida finding that energy and finding that kind of exuberance and the ability to start fresh and do it again, considering they've been to 2 straight Cup finals?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why we don't see so-called dynasties in this era. It is so incredibly hard to win the Stanley Cup. They were fortunate enough, they got right back on the horse and were able to accomplish it, albeit it looked like it was slipping away in Edmonton for a little bit, and then pulled it back in Game 7 back in Florida. But, I think you get new bodies. You kind of turn over your roster a little bit. You put players in different roles and positions to kind of keep it fresh. But they still have the same stalwarts, the same key guys. It's a lot of the third and fourth line guys, the younger guys coming up that are maturing and developing, that take on bigger roles. They've now got the experience of whether they went to that first Cup final or they were a part of the team last year, and really have a unique understanding of what it took to be successful and ultimately win the cherished prize, the Stanley Cup.
Are they your pace car still then in the East? Are they the team that you think is best suited for a Cup run?
Well, they've got arguably the best center, two-way center in the game, Barkov. My question mark would be their health. What's the mindset of Aaron Ekblad when he comes back from his suspension? How healthy is Matthew Tkachuk going to be come playoff time? They're a different team when he's not in the lineup. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the addition of Marchand helps, and once he gets a little more acclimated and more familiar with their system and style of play, albeit it's fairly similar to Boston in the physicality nature, but there's still new teammates and systems that you got to learn. But I don't know. I probably wouldn't pick them. 3 years in a row going to the finals, that's a lot of tax on the body, and I'm not sure. We've seen how many injuries they've accumulated, not only last year in the Cup run, but now this year. So I think it'll be a fresh face, to be honest with you. I think Dallas will turn the corner. I think the whole Rantanen thing's kind of taken on a life of its own, and now they look like they're starting to find some chemistry and figure out what he's going to do in their lineup. And sometimes it's an adjustment for the coach with a player like that, trying to figure out where he fits in the power play. You don't want to disrupt all the chemistry that you had. They were humming on all cylinders, and now they kind of lost a step after that transaction. So we'll see how they do. Colorado looks good. I think it's a question mark how well can they play defensively. And then, Washington, they just keep humming along. It is incredible to see their young guys, how they've developed. Obviously we're on Ovechkin watch, but you look at some of the players, they just added Leonard. They're adding guys nonstop to young, youthful presence to the lineup that, they're getting quality goaltending. Their defense core really seems pretty solid back there. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. They're going to get their matchup in the first round might be Ottawa. It might be Montreal. So we'll see how that plays out.
Where do you stand on this reality of what's going to happen here with Ovechkin? He scored again last night. He's 4 goals off setting a new record. It's going to happen, I think, likely this year, if not early into next season.
I think it happens this year.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to happen.
He's getting way too many chances not to score 4 goals.
And wide open. Like last night, he's got a nose for it. Like it just lands on his stick. It's wide open cage. Yeah. But you played against Gretzky. You grew up as a Canadian, I'm sure, kind of idolizing what Gretzky was doing and the stats. And you played against Ovechkin when he came into the league. This is a statistic, like 894. I just never even thought anyone would come close. And here we are.
Not even close, Hayes.
No, exactly. Like when Gretzky passed Howe, it was like, all right, that's it. Like, see you later. Yeah. And Ovi's going to do it here. How do you put it into perspective playing against both guys and having an understanding of the history of the game?
Well, you think of the consistency that it takes and the style of play that he has. Running guys and getting banged on in front. It's not like, yes, he goes and stands in that spot and finds the quiet area. But he also, in other parts of his game, crashes the net, gets to the dirty areas, 5-on-5 play. So it's not like he's not banging bodies and taking a physical toll out there. And just he has not missed very many games throughout his career, which speaks to the consistency and this record. You got to score 40-plus goals a year for 20 years.
It's incredible, man. It is. And he had that little dip where he scored like 32,
32, yeah.
34 in back-to-back years, and that was 15 years ago.
And you think he's on the decline. And
yep. And he's just getting cooking, man, at that point.
Yeah.
He's hit 60, I think, once in his career. But that's another thing. Like, Gretzky had a different career, but Gretzky had seasons where he scored 92 into the 70s, 80s. Like, Ovi's just been like 50 every year for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's
crazier
incredible.
than I played in a alumni game with Mike Gartner, and we were just talking before we went out on the ice, and he asked me how many times I scored 30 goals. And I said, I think 4 times. And I was like, what about you? He goes, 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I scored 30 goals, 17 years.
Yeah.
And Ovi's like trumped that, like 40 goals for 20 years. That's insane.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, listen, we'll see. The Leafs-Panther game tonight. We got a few games tonight, and we're getting close to the real stuff in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be a good stretch run, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you again real soon. Thank you for doing this, Chris. We appreciate it.
Yep. My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good luck to your Leafs, Dog.
There you go. There he is,
Appreciate
Chris
it.
Pronger. Hockey Hall of Famer Chris Pronger joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline from Dryden, Ontario.
Never goes back.
Yeah.
I think he goes back. He's got
said he never goes back.
I've been there with him, so he goes back.
It's way up there, eh?
It is.
It's way up north.
But it's 4 hours from like Winnipeg. Like it's closer to Winnipeg than it is anywhere else.
Right.
We had his bachelor party in Winnipeg. We didn't have it in Dryden. We went into Winnipeg. Like it was the weirdest thing. But all of his buddies, he has a buddy who was a huge Leafs fan who has a Maple Leaf tattooed on his chest. The Toronto Maple Leafs like logo on his chest.
That's commitment, man. That is commitment.
I have a different word for it, but it is commitment.
It's crazy too.
It's a giant like Maple Leaf, and he's an awesome guy. But it's like he has his buddies are all in the Toronto area and stuff like that. So it's they call him
He was
team,
a fascinating
team
guy to watch in junior, man. He played with my brother in the Peterborough Petes, and I remember my dad saying, "You got to come and watch this new star that the Petes have." He's foregone college, and he's agreed to play with the Petes, and he's 6'6" and really thin, and he's a defenseman. And I'm like, all right. So my dad used to drive up to Peterborough for home games on Thursday nights, and to put eyes on this guy, you're like, wow, this is the superstar. And you watch him play, and like this giant out there, really thin and lean, and he just controlled the whole game. It was amazing to watch.
Crazy.
And then the year after that, it just got better and better, and he just turned into a monster out there. Hart Trophy at Norris, same season, man.
6'6" and size 9 skates.
Yeah, and small feet. You would think that he would have size 17 feet out there.
It was insane. Like it was like a little bird. Like he just. But I am biased. You guys know I'm 100% biased because I played with him and love him. But I think he was one of the best for a defenseman. One of the best first passes you've ever seen. He come around there. Like he would always find forwards with speed in the neutral zone. He was elite at that. I know Lidstrom and Niedermeyer, but like Pronger had this innate ability to just, and keep in mind the red line. There was a red line, right? So it wasn't 2-line passes stretching. You had
people,
to hit a
Jamie,
guy.
think that it's just a standard thing with defensemen where everybody just wheels around the net and finds somebody. They don't. Watch, and you'll find guys ripping it off the glass, ripping it off the yellow, missing passes. He was a special player.
Very special, but mean as a snake too, boy. And loved it too. Like that's the thing. Loved that.
Yeah,
that
you gotta be wired that way, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have that kind of mentality where you're so competitive and you just kind of hate your opponent, and that's a throwback thing you don't see much anymore in the sport. You just hate that other team, and you see it bubbles over a little bit in the playoffs, and there's moments where certain players don't love each other, but it used to be teams. You played that team at any point. You just hated that team. Like you just knew there was going to be something was going to happen. Like you could feel it. It was a powder keg. And you don't, that kind of energy in the building and energy in the league, it doesn't really exist anymore. All right, Dreg's coming up. Leafs Panthers tonight, tracking the Jays. We got arbitration coming up this hour as well. And
With
our best
a
bet still to
twist.
come. with a bit of a twist, a little bit of a twist. All right, a little arbitration and a little bit of a twist. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Now, is that going to be a problem?
Yeah, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for them. It's outrageous, egregious, preposterous.
OverDrive Arbitration.
I've been wanting a piece of them for years.
You think you got a case?
Your face is my case.
All right, arbitration. We haven't played this in a while, so we're going to run through a couple of ARB cases, and then I'll tell you what I kind of have going on here, which is very similar to arbitration. It's a bit of a different spin on it.
Just get on with it. We do the same segment every day.
It's effectively very similar stuff.
Different.
It's
people
very
are
similar.
Stupid.
It's very similar. All right, Max Scherzer walks into ARB, and he is awarded 10 starts for the Blue Jays this season, but all of them will come with 100% health. So no thumb is connected to the wrist bone.
Yeah.
None of that. Like, you get 10 starts, but you get 10 Max Scherzer starts at 100%. Should you take that, or should you leave it and hope for better?
Dude, are you kidding me? Is this for real? He takes that and runs out the door naked because I don't think he comes anywhere close to this. This thumb thing, I got a bad vibe about it. I think it was a problem before he even showed up in spring training. I think it was a problem last year. I think it was a problem that teams were aware of and they stayed away from him. But the Jays took a chance, and I don't know what this guy's going to be doing this year, but I don't think he's going to be playing a lot of baseball. To say that you blew your lat out because your thumb's all jacked up?
Well, he was worried about blowing his lat out. He
Right.
didn't blow the lat out, but he could feel the lat. He was concerned about the lat.
It was bubbling.
The lat was
It right
bubbling.
there.
There was concern about the lat. But, okay.
I'm leaving it, and I'll tell you why. Because I think they're looking at it and going, if he's not available even for 2 or 3, they're going to be replacing him. And yes, you'd want 10 quality starts, 100%. But where are they? Are they early in the season? Are they late in the season? Are they spaced out? Like, to
Right.
me, I think if they don't have him, they're going to have to replace him. I don't know who they do that with, whether it's a trade, but you have to move past him if you don't have that. So I would take the chance that he can get healthy and you get more than 10 in a rotation. If
Yeah.
not, you got to move past him. I'm
I know,
sorry.
it's amazing. Like 10 starts. Again, if you're an everyday starter in this league, you're going to give 31, 32 starts. So we're
Right.
talking about pouncing at the opportunity for a third of the amount of starts you're paying this guy.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to leave it because it's still so early in the season as well. I mean, I'm going to bank on the cortisone shot.
You were just crushing the guy the other day, and now you're going to leave
well,
it?
he wanted 15.
I wanted
Contradicting
15.
yourself.
I wanted 15. I'm not contradicting myself. I'm
You
saying,
are.
listen, 10 is just, that's a bit player. Like
Yeah.
it's and even at 100% health, I don't even know what I'm getting. It's almost like you're just hoping for innings out of this guy.
Yeah.
And 10 is just it's a small number. I did say I would probably pounce at 15, and I don't know, maybe that's not enough for me to change my mind, but it's just it's also, I think what Noodle said kind of sells me on the idea that it's still so early in the year, and when are these starts going to happen? Are you going to be able to spread them out? Can you get some sort of consistency out of them? It's probably
Right.
worth the gamble still because it's so early. Later in the year, I would pounce on it. Right now, you got to hope
Yes.
the cortisone does something for Scherzer.
Yeah.
All right, the Montreal Canadiens have walked into arbitration. They have been offered a playoff spot, but a sweep in the first round.
Dude, 100% taking it. You see how much just playoff talk fires that crowd up after? Mark Denis, by the way, does a fantastic job,
Yeah, he does.
along with Frankie, along with Kenzie, along with Mudryk, where he just lets it breathe a little bit and lets the crowd soak it in with the guy he's talking to. The playoffs would be awesome for that fan base. Second best in the National Hockey League. They're awesome.
I'm leaving it. You know why I'm leaving it is I think that if they get in, they feel that they can win a game. They can win games. They can actually do something. And, I have to be consistent because I feel like the Rangers are going to get that spot, but I could
They're
be
right
wrong.
there.
And right now,
It's one of those teams.
Right now, well, Columbus isn't going away
Columbus
either.
is still in it. Yeah.
Right. So, but I couldn't imagine. Now, I didn't get to see it. I couldn't imagine what that building was like, the volume when Suzuki scored the tying goal and the winning goal yesterday. Like, all I thought to myself is the roof must have came off. Like, the atmosphere in that building is amazing. We did an Ottawa game at a split, a double broadcast. It was Johnny and Gord and the other day, maybe a couple weeks back. The building, it was a Tuesday night, and I think I told you guys, it was like a nightclub in there. Like, it was insane.
Oh, it's incredible.
By the
And
way, Noodles, what
I'm
the
so
hell were
happy.
your Sens doing last night? Holy.
Well,
They can't play Buffalo, man. They can't.
This
do it.
Buffalo team, it's another. We'll have a conversation at the 6 o'clock hour about that. This Buffalo team is an enigma, but it.
By the way, watch out,
crazy.
Buffalo's. Buffalo's only 9 points out.
Wow.
Watch out, dude.
Well,
Playoff season.
they've won 5 of 6 now. When they're out, when they're up, like it's just and James Reimer is like Vezina caliber. I'm not lying, but anyways, getting back to Montreal.
It's a place to start. I think if Kevin Adams looks and says, "I got to get a rock star in net somehow, some way," it'll at least give us some hope. Wow. Because their goaltending, whatever they're throwing in there, it ain't working. It ain't good enough.
31st in the National Hockey League.
Nonsense.
31st. So,
go ahead,
but getting back to Montreal, I think you leave it because this is a team that is on a heater. They're feeling it. They're going to want more when they get
I would leave it too, and I know you're playing with fire. I get it that guaranteeing a spot goes a long way, but they weren't even supposed to be in the hunt. So if you miss, it's heartbreaking. But I think if you get in and you get swept, that's a really deflating feeling. Like getting swept in the playoffs is tough, man. It's a really difficult pill to swallow. Like,
you're basically like, did we even?
What did we even do?
Well, you
exactly.
played 4 extra games. That's all you did.
Right.
You played 4 extra games than everybody else.
I just think you need more of a launching pad. You need to punch your ticket, get in, which they're in the driver's seat to do. You look at money, puck, and all that. It's like 50% chance they're going to get in. No guarantees, but they're in a good place. And I think you want to ride that wave and give yourself a chance to win games, and compete in that first round. And if it is Washington you're going to play, Washington, they'll be a big favorite. Washington probably wins that series. But, can Montembeault outplay Logan Thompson 4 times? I think he can. I think that can happen, and you can be in a position to do some damage.
Well,
all right, Rory McIlroy. This is a little bit of a different one, okay? He goes in. Rory McIlroy walks into Arb, and they give him 2 options. All right, they lay these 2 options out in front of Rory. He has to pick one. You have to do that here. He can either finish second place at the Masters after blowing a lead on Sunday, or miss the cut, or miss the cut. Which one would he? Which one would you take?
I think he would take missing the cut, man, where he could just say, "Didn't have it, got to flush it. I'll be back next year." I think he's going to win the Masters this year, man. I really do.
I've said that 10 times over the last 15 years.
Dude, I get it. I think I've even said it maybe once or twice, but I just think at his age, his performance at the Masters, winning at Pebble, I think he's just got like a calmness and a confidence about him where he can just say, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go out there and let it fly. And he's proven even at Sawgrass he can do a little bit something different. He won with not his best stuff at Sawgrass.
But he's won at Sawgrass. And the Players is not Augusta. It's not Masters. I mean,
he should have an easier time at the Masters.
Mentally, you should.
Off the tee, that guy should be launching golf balls into outer space.
Off the tee, you're right. But he doesn't hit greens, man. I saw a stat this week. Like, on average, the guy, he doesn't hit enough greens in reg at Augusta. That's been his issue. Is, the average winner or whatever hits like 55 of 72 greens, and he hits on average like 45. So he ends up scrambling, and if you end up scrambling at Augusta National, you're going to put yourself in a bad place. But I think I'd take second. I know these are horrible
You have to
options.
take second. You have
the blown
to.
lead, though, Noodles, that is sickening for him. He did it at Pinehurst. He did it at St. Andrews. He did it at Augusta.
The way you worded it, he chokes his guts out in a playoff, and it's just like,
well, not necessarily a playoff. Just he had a lead on Sunday, and he doesn't close.
But here's why I would say you take the second. Because when he eventually wins and you look back and you go, okay, well, he was second in that year. He was second. Now, all of a sudden, you take a look at a legacy and go, this is how close this guy has been throughout his career. He was second here. He choked this one off, but it doesn't matter. He's right there all around it. So when he eventually wins, then you go, he's been, it's just a matter of time. So
those
I think
count.
you take the second.
You're right. Those count, man. We talk about it, Nicholas, all the time. How many times he was, T2 or he was top 5, top 10, whatever.
Yeah.
Tiger to a lesser extent, but certainly it does apply with Woods. Yeah. That said, kind of like Phil, Mickelson finished, what was he, second like 5 times at the U.S. Open, 6 times. and he never got it. He never ended up winning. You do have to win in order to look at it differently.
Yeah.
All right, Austin Matthews walks in. He's awarded 2 more Rocket Richard Awards in his career. 2 more. Does he take it or leave it?
Why not 2 playoff series wins this year instead of Rocket Richards?
All right, go ahead. Then do that. Is that what he wants? You think Austin would take 2 playoff wins and lose in the conference final?
This year?
Yes. I think that's such a loser's mentality. He might take it, but I hope he wouldn't. I hope he'd finally say, "Screw that. We don't want to go to a conference final. I'm not doing that. I want to go to a cup final and actually close." But go ahead, answer that question.
I'm going to go back to
No. Answer that question. Matthews is awarded a
2
conference
series
final
wins.
loss. 2 series wins. The Leafs lose in the conference final. His first year as captain. Does he take it or does he leave it?
I'm going to talk this out with you, okay? It's a loser's mentality, but it seems like such a greater feat than what they've accomplished. So I think someone would look at it and say, well, it's better than getting dummied in the first round or a quick exit in the second. So get me to a conference final and let me sniff around. It might not go our way, but I want to sniff it.
All right, let me throw this detail on top. Here is the caveat. The team you lose to in the conference final
wins the cup.
Montreal.
Holy shnikes.
Do you take it or leave it?
I can't take that at all. They're the second best fan base in the league. I can't.
Who's the number 1?
The Leafs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, come on, Nichols.
I can't. I don't know.
Joking.
You just offended me. I want to go to commercial break.
Well, I was asked
that one
question this
really
morning.
throws a wrench into everything. Dude.
I know. Like, because could you imagine the Leafs chugging, everything's feeling great, and they get to a conference final, and the Habs are there on some miracle run. They get through Washington. They beat Carolina in the second round. Leafs at home, and it's Montreal. You can't take that. I mean, obviously, if that's the option, I'd go Rory McIlroy. I'd rather miss the cut. I'd rather they lose out and miss the playoffs.
You'd rather that they swept in the first round.
Yes.
As opposed
It's
to
such
losing
a
to
loser's
Montreal
mentality.
in the third
and
round.
it's easy for me to say it now because the
No, that's
experience of them
crazy.
winning and playing, I would clearly take every single time. No. But it would be that would just be such a torture play for Leaf fans to have to deal with that reality.
But the thing is, Brian, as opposed to what the last 9 years of torture.
I know, but
so you
Noodles,
can take
you finally
wins.
get to a conference final and you play Montreal. It's a hypothetical, but the Habs beat you twice in 5 years in the playoffs when you're the superior team and you're the favorite and you're supposed to do it.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I get it, but I also we've lived the other side of that coin. So I see where O's going is like at least you felt a run and you have something to build off to move into the next year and go, hey, been there, whatever. Like I think like this is where I think people have to get their head. Yes, they're one of 8 or 9 cup favorites, but if they go deep in the playoffs and lose, which is a good chance they could, then it's not a failure. You're building. You're going. Like it's all or nothing. It can't be all or nothing. It has to be. You have to accept what comes at your way. Now, can they win? Sure, but they can also lose, and that's the thing that.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is like the idea of them beating Tampa in the first round and then Florida, and then you're like, okay, look at what they just got through.
Okay, then
Montreal
I
now is waiting for
You're
them.
right. Context
anyway,
is everything.
It's a ridiculous hypothetical that's not going to happen.
I say the 2 Rockets.
Oh, I would take the 2 Rockets too. I'm
I
pouncing on. He's already won multiple ones. That means well into his late 20s, early 30s, he's going to keep ripping home goals.
And that means he's healthy.
That means he's healthy as well. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, we'll come back, and I've got a little spin on this called Psychic Says. All right, Psychic Says.
Psychic Says.
I'll explain it to you. It's gonna warp your mind, man. It is gonna launch.
Dude, why didn't
this
you just
show.
say Simon? Just said Simon Says
Because
instead of Psychic.
I'll explain why. All right, this is gonna launch us into a new era of OverDrive.
Palm reading, all right? We're coming back with palm reading.
Palm reading. Palm reading. That's precisely what it is.
Psychic Says.
Darren Dreger
Next.
still to come. Mark Masters from the rink. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Darren Dreger coming up. The Jays have wrapped up their series with another win. They swept the Nationals. They are 5-2 on the season, leading the American League East. What a start for the Jays. Day off tomorrow, then they head down to New York to play the Mets. The Mets home opener on Friday afternoon. So more on that into the next hour. We were playing arbitration, the previous segment, and now we're going to test out some palm reading here. Psychic says. All right. The Edmonton Oilers walk into a psychic, and a psychic looks at Chris Knoblauch and says, I've seen your future, and the only way for the Oilers to win in the playoffs is Calvin Pickard has to be your starter. Noodles, you can start this party off. Do you tell the psychic that you accept that vision and you're going to apply it, or you basically tell her to take a lap?
So say it again, for them to win or just
for
to
them
have success?
to have success in the playoffs, Calvin Pickard is your guy. You're not going back to Stuart Skinner. That's the vision. That's what she's seen.
Well, what did he have? His 18th win last night?
He played great, man. He's playing well since Skinner went down.
Noodles, it's pretty simple. You can win the cup, but Pickard's got to be your guy.
Well,
what are you saying back to the psychic?
Are you accepting it or not? Are you going to say, no, that's stupid and I'm going back to Skinner? Or you're like, yeah, I think you're onto something here.
Oh, okay.
Pickard's our guy.
Well, yeah, I'm following, but I'm not following. If for them to win, it's Pickard to win. Like Pickard in. Like
yes.
I think.
Are you accepting that advice or not?
I think they want to go back to Skinner, but I think it's if they believe, if a psychic is saying that's your pathway,
yes,
then you take it. But I think Skinner's their guy.
All right, so your answer is to tell her to take a lap. Yes, exactly. No, that's a stupid vision, and you're not seeing it clear.
It's not a stupid vision. I mean, it's
that's how we have to react to this psychic.
Okay, so
it's either you're going to buy into it or you're not. It's very simple to follow along here.
I think Pickard is a good backup who can give you short-term minutes, but I believe that Skinner, they're pot committed this year with Skinner. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Oh, are you sticking with Calvin Pickard, or are you going to go back to Stuart Skinner?
I would hope that Patrick Swayze came into my body like Whoopi Goldberg in that movie, and I would sucker the psychic. Yeah, in Ghost. I would say, no thanks. I want Swayze back into my body, and I would attack the psychic.
I would think long and hard on this.
No, you wouldn't.
I really would.
You're trying to fire up the Oiler fans.
Skinner has been awful this year. His statistics, his numbers, I'm sorry, there's no sugarcoating it. The numbers
he wasn't exactly
horrendous.
A world beater during the regular season last year.
Yes, he was down the stretch.
He was awesome in the playoffs.
Yes, at the right time. You're right, and he's done that. And I get it. People keep saying,
"Okay,
well, he's
you
done
be
it before,
Knoblauch."
so
the psychic says Pickard's your guy.
I think I might listen. I think I'm listening because I don't know. It's not even about Pickard. I don't know if I could trust Stuart Skinner. Like Stuart Skinner is not some grizzled Grant. I know Grant Fuhr's the guy we always use. Big games, big moments. He shows up. He did it, and I get it. Skinner last year it worked for him, but. This year it's been pretty ugly, man.
Well, I would say this. The only thing I would say back to the psychic is the Edmonton Oilers aren't going anywhere unless their best players or the core of their team play to their capabilities. That includes Stuart Skinner, Matthias Ekholm, Zach Hyman, RNH, McDavid.
When he returns,
like all of those guys. And Evander Kane, like guys that they believe are going to be in the playoffs with them, they're not going anywhere unless those guys play to their capability. Darnell Nurse, Skinner is one of those guys, and Skinner can come back and play well. And if those guys in front of him don't play well enough, then it doesn't matter what they're doing. So I would say I'm going back with Skinner.
Okay.
I have to read this before the next psychic says.
The psychic might be gone.
I screwed it up.
From a high
Noodles,
you butchered it a little bit, but someone just sent me a note. A high-ranking person in the National Hockey League said, I'm confused. Like, we never really talk about our show or our work or whatever he wrote. I'm confused how the psychic segment is different than arbitration.
Well, that's what
it's not.
And I think this person was being a smartass. But let's get to the next psychic statement.
It's all good.
I like it.
It's all good. I mean, it's more about do you have faith in what you're seeing
Give me one.
here?
Give me a psychic says.
Okay. Let me go off the beaten path here. All right. The psychic's saying the future. Vladdy is going to have a down season offensively, but the Jays should still meet his price at the end of it.
Ask that guy right there.
There you go. How do you respond to the arbitration psychic?
Can we repeat what the psychic, how he described Vladdy's season?
That it's a down year offensively.
No.
Not quality numbers. But
Not
you should
giving
still
Vladdy-
pay him because he's 26 and he's your guy.
Once again, Patrick Swayze come into my body and I'm fighting the psychic. I'm not these are insane takes. Insane from
They're
the
not
psychic.
insane takes.
I love how you're on the give Vladdy whatever he wants now. It's a crazy transformation. Dude.
I understand that. I get it. It's crazy money. It's stupid money. It's money that makes it very difficult to wrap your head around it. And of course, he should still have to perform. But this is where baseball is now. Like, guys in this category, he's not Soto, he's not Ohtani, but guys in this category get paid a fortune.
Yeah.
And if they're always left at the altar, they're trying to get people to take their money. They're begging people. Here's a guy that's been within the organization for 10 years, and I think he's willing to take their money, and they're not willing to get to that number. And that's my point on it. I'm not making sense of the money. I'm not letting Vladdy off the hook. He's got to perform better. But I'd like the idea of Vladdy being a Blue Jay for a long time. And if they're going to keep spending money, they're going to try to remain competitive. Vladdy's going to help you do that.
Yes, I agree. And there's one thing. We got to carry this into the 6 o'clock hour because I think we're finding a groove here.
I think we found something, man.
I needed to understand a little bit more.
Yes. I got a few more. I got a few more. I got a few more in the chamber
right
here,
away.
man.
I want one,
right.
at least one or two more right away.
The psychic will
Noodles,
continue.
I got to be honest. You kicked the psychic right in the junk the first attempt.
Well,
at
okay,
this.
because
you were like, I don't understand what the psychic's saying.
I think psychics are full of garbage.
I get it, but we're idiots, and we do idiot
John
segments every day.
Okay, anyways, let's get into it.
And I like that attitude. That should be the attitude.
Yes.
Talk smack to the psychic. If you don't believe in that vision, tell the psychic to take a lap.
I'm going to in the 6 o'clock hour.
Okay, it'll continue. Dreg's coming up. Masters coming up. The psychic continues. I could see this developing into Al's brother in a booth with it's going to get stupid.
A hat on.
OverDrive
Al's brother
continues.
with another person making like pottery with Whoopi Goldberg. There's lots of possibilities.
You see Al's brother and Demi Moore as very similar type categories.
Yes.
OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.